Thanks to Valve, Steam, and its generous discount and sales, buying PC games has never been more up to date, more available, or cheaper than ever before. As a result, libraries across the platform have accumulated more and more games, to the point that most of us have more games than we might ever play. As an experiment, I decided to make a list of all my current Steam titles, put them from a random number generator, play that chosen title for as long as necessary, and finally create a short and concise video review. If you have any of these titles in your library, or are interested in giving them a try, then make yourself comfortable. I'm GAMESD, and it's full steam ahead. It's fortunate that for the first title picked from my Steam library, it's one that I've already sunk quite a bit of time into. I've always had a soft spot for the original Geometry Wars, ever since its introduction as a minigame within Project Gotham Racing 2, and would say that its first solo outing defined the Xbox 360's arcade front end and the console's identity in its early days, much like Halo had done for the original Xbox. After 3 previous outings, Retro Evolved, 2, and Galaxies, you would think that there'd be very little to glean from the title, but there's a lot to love about this 4th outing for the franchise. The underlying formula remains the same from previous games, a twin-stick shooter in the mode of Robotron and Smash TV, updated for the modern age with an abstracted vector graphics and an electronica aesthetic. The distinct enemy behaviours, the freedom of smooth shooting and movement, the risky nature of the geomes that push players into the fray of enemies to increase their score multiplier, not to mention the many flavours of gameplay in different modes are all present, and are even expanded upon, with new game types, enemy types, and even super states that all feel like natural additions to the original game. Loadouts in the form of drones and supers are also introduced in this game, and they provide useful wrinkles to your core shooting, with plenty of options to choose from. The title keeps these core mechanics mostly recognisable, and so instead experiments with the field of play. Stages are no longer just flat arenas, but instead are painted across simple 3D objects like a UV map, with players no longer able to see the entire field in one view, different effects added to their arc of shooting, and the prospect of enemies and power-ups on hidden surfaces. The gameplay, like its environments, takes on an extra dimension of depth. Alongside classic arcade mode options, Geometry Wars 3 introduces a structured campaign of individual levels, based in part on arcade mode, and this is where you'll be introduced to the title's multitude of new ideas and arena types. Boss fights are also introduced, and like most of the titles, find a way of recontextualizing gameplay or challenging you on what you've learned so far. Not every idea sticks the landing, but the speed at which ideas are introduced and replaced means that it's likely that you'll find one that you like, and the core loop of pushing for higher scores and moving closer to the top of the leaderboard is still present from previous titles. An additional multiplayer mode is also available, though at the time of this review I didn't get a chance to try it myself. If you like twin-stick shooters, previous Geometry Wars games, or are looking for a simple to pick up and play arcade title, I heartily recommend the game. A campaign does a lot to structure the experience, but the arcade modes are where you'll probably spend most of your time. The core Geometry Wars experience remains as great as it always did, but Dimensions adds enough to the franchise to make it worth returning to. Be sure to pair the game with a cold drink, and prepare to slide into a relaxed state. Due to its simple aesthetic and light use of big effects, I didn't have any trouble running the game at 60 frames per second in a windowed mode at sub 1080p, but of course your mileage may vary. A link to the game is in the description below, where you'll also find the technical specifications to run the title. That's all for now. Talk to you soon.